welcome back to another lesson. In the previous lesson, we talked about the adding map values by using the set method to add elements to the map. And we also talked about how you can change map values using the set method to change existing map values. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about the get method as well as the difference between what an array, what a map object is, and the other similar, to other similar, how do I call it? Another similar topic that we have discussed, which is the object. So we're going to be taking a look at the difference between both of them. But before then, let's first talk about the get method. So the get method get the value of a key in a map. If you look at the previous two examples that we've talked about, I'm talking about when we added values, when we added elements to a map with the set method, and when we use the set method to change existing map values. You'll notice that at the point of getting out the outputs to let us know that what we claim we have done is actually done, we employ the use of a get method in order to get those two things out as an output. So we're now going to take a look and examine the get method itself. Now, the get method gets the value of a key in a map. So which means that if you want to get the value of a key in a map, you need the get method in order to be able to achieve that. So let's take a look at an example. So now, so here I have this. I'm not adding map values, JavaScript, map get methods. So use the get method to get value of a key in a map. So here I have a map object which is called fruit. Now I want to use the get method in order to get value of a key in a map. So I will just pass in the get method. What do I want to get? I want to get oranges. So I can pass what I want to get inside oranges. And now what can you see? You can see 100, which corresponds to what I have in my map object. You can see there's oranges and quantities 100. And now you can see that I am getting the value of this key. The key is oranges and the value is 100. So I'm using the get method to get the value of this key in a map. So this is how the get method works in JavaScript. Now let's move on and let's talk about the difference between JavaScript objects and maps. So the number one difference is that objects are not directly iterable. If you remember when we talked about objects in JavaScript, if you go back, you realize that when we got to a point of talking about how you can move, there was a workaround around how it works in objects, not a direct way like that, but a map directly iterable. So you can use a method like for or for each directly on map objects and it will work. Number two, objects do not have a size property. Map have a size property. If you want to know the size of your object, there is no property to check that, but map, it has a size property. Other object keys must be string or symbol. So you see that when you declare objects, you always see something like first name, last name, age. So the keys are must be strings or symbol. So most times it's always strings that you see. Symbols even used rarely. But map keys can be any data type. It can be strings, it can be number, it can be objects. There's no limit on what can be the keys of a map. But the keys of an object is restricted only to strings or symbol, which is rarely used. Now, object keys are not well ordered. Map keys are ordered by insertion. So it remember the progressive or the simultaneous insertion of keys. Unlike objects, that keys are not well ordered. And last but not least, the objects have default keys. Objects in JavaScript have default keys. Maps in JavaScript do not have default keys. So these are the differences between an object and a map in JavaScript. Now, maps are objects by default. Maps are objects because if you look at what we've been working with up to this point, you realize that map itself, they are objects. So it's closely related to objects. So now it's maps are similar to both objects and arrays, right? Because you realize that even a map, we use this square bracket, which we used a lot during the time we were talking about arrays. Now you will see the similarity to both objects due to its key value, pair collection, and array, the ordered value collection. But if you look closely, you will see that maps are most similar to objects. So it's very close to object than to array. And how do you check if what you have is an object? You can use the type of property or the instance of property. So if I want to check if my map is an object, so I can just do type of fruit. What can you see? Objects. So or instance of fruit. This will not work. But if I do something like say apples instance of fruits, even with this, it's not working. But let me do this. Fruit dot get instance of fruits. This also is not working. Fruit dot get. Let me complete this actually. Whether this will work. What is this? What am I trying to do? Oranges. Instance of instance. This is not working. And let me inspect. I want to see if there's something that can give me a clue on how to use it. Fruit is not divine. Fruit. Even at this instance of operand fruit. Okay, let me do this. So let me say, okay. In order not to waste much of our time, actually, so you can use type of or instance of to check whether your map is an object. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next lesson.